Hello there, my name is Fabian and I am from the National Museum of Singapore. This is part 2 of our online discussion about Ramadan and celebrating Hari Raya Puasa in these unique circumstances that all of us are experiencing at the moment. If you're interested to watch part 1 of our discussion, you can find the video on the National Museum of Singapore YouTube channel. And joining us for the discussion is Ustaz Fiza Zainal. For those who are unfamiliar with the word Ustaz, it means religious teacher. Fiza is the Executive Director of non-profit social organization Badan Agama and Pelajaran Radin Mas, or also known as BAPA. Our other guest is Mr. Frank Fu, author and illustrator of a series of light-hearted books about festivals in Singapore. So without further ado, let the discussion begin. Okay, celebrating Hari Raya Puasa. So I'm going to show again 2 artifacts first before we go into the discussion. Okay, all right. So on the left, okay, we have another stamp. So if you recall from the first one, the first section, right? So over here we have 1 out of 12 stamps issued as a set by Singapore Post on 29th of February 2008. So this 55-cent stamp features colorful elements of Hari Raya. So actually, it's quite interesting. If you look at the stamp, okay, you will see like the crescent moon again and a star, and you also see people giving green packets, you know, and people greeting each other. So these are all like things that happen, you know, in the household during Hari Raya. So we can discuss a bit more about it later. Sure. And on the right, okay, we have a wooden putu kacang biscuit mold. Okay, that's carved with a geometric floral and fauna designs. If you take a closer look in there. So putu kacang, for those of you who are not familiar, is a Malay festive biscuit, okay, made of nuts, and is really baked during festive occasions like Hari Raya Puasa. Okay, but I believe nowadays there's so many more different types.
So many versions.
So many different types of kueh. I mean, you can see the year that this mold was made was 1940s. So I think like Singapore was in a different stage of development. You know, having these cookies during that time was considered maybe a bit luxury or like a treat back then. So so maybe Fiza, maybe you can just share a bit more about how celebrating Hari Raya Puasa has been like for your family, maybe before you got married or when we were in your childhood.
Before marriage and after marriage is totally different. Okay. As an adult, it's totally different. As a kid, it's always enjoyable because you receive the most gift ever. You know, as a kid, we look forward to Hari Raya because that's the month where you can plan to buy your next Sega Saturn or your PlayStation 1 or new games or new bicycle or whatever it is. In fact, for a kid, for a child, it is very rewarding, the month of Hari Raya, because that's a month where you receive a lot of bonuses. And it is always during that period where, as a child, towards my teenager years that I start saving up. But as a child, that was a time when I could spend on myself because I get money. So I remember buying my own first game console, you know, buying my own toys, and then my computer, it was Acer. I remember the big Acer. And then as I grew to my teenage years, I realized the importance of saving up, and then we save up for rainy days ahead. So technically, across the board, Hari Raya, as a child, as a teenager, as a person before marriage, and then after marriage, it differs. But in a nutshell, it's very enjoyable. As you grow older, you realize that what's most important is not just receiving gifts, but the feeling of fulfillment, a very fulfilling feeling after giving gifts to those who are in need of gifts. And you see the happiness that just comes out on their face, and they're just so excited for receiving gifts. So, technically, Hari Raya has always been a pleasing season of festive reunion. And you say reunion, of course, it means food galore. And, food has never fallen short from the agenda. You know that if you're going to visit, your family members, which house will have a different specialty. You were saying about kueh just now, right?
Yes.
I think putu kacang is no longer the name of putu kacang. I mean, that's so 1940s. That is more to the context. More to the context of Fabian in the National Museum. But at the homes, right? Some of them do still have putu kacang, but now they are called makmur.
Okay.
It's the
Oh,
same
okay. I
concept.
he didn't know. Yes.
Makmur in English it means prosperity. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like putu kacang. It's with nuts filling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's a flour, a
Flour,
thin
yeah.
flour. Then they bake it and then they put in sugar.
Yes.
In confectioner sugar lah, icing
Yep.
sugar. Then people will eat it. It's crunchy in the inside, and then there's leaf, decoration, or whatever not.
Yep.
It's called makmur and prosperity because of how things blend together. Something
Oh,
crunchy in the inside, something soft on the outside, and something sweeter on the outside. The
okay.
whole idea of why we give kueh initially was because to remember the sweetness of Hari Raya, you must eat
Yes.
something sweet.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
So that's where the exchange of gifts, of
Okay.
kueh,
Yeah.
was much more fundamental in a sense lah. Now it gets more, economical and more involves more financial because it involves
Yep.
money lah, gift lah. But in the past, people will exchange kueh.
Oh, okay.
People will exchange cookies
Okay.
because of it's like a prayer that I give you like a bottle of makmur or prosperity cake or prosperity cookies so that you become prosperous as well. And people are excited because it's not that easy to make. It's difficult.
Okay.
I have big
Oh.
fingers, so I can't make one. Then you have the pineapple tarts, which
Yes.
is quite amazing. It's foods galore. Then there's the rendang, and then there's the
Yeah.
ketupat.
Yes.
Every single food in the Malay culture in the morning of Hari Raya, there's a meaning behind it.
Okay.
For example, the ketupat. Lontong is the big, round, what they call it, cylinder, looks like a cylinder. It's really modern lah. It's very easy lah, right? But ketupat is something that has meaning. Because you have to weave the what they call it, the coconut leaves. Then you have to boil it. It takes a long time to process.
Yes.
And then when you unbox it or when you cut it on the rice cake, there are actually signs of the leaf, like an insignia lah.
Yeah.
So it has meanings behind the weaving of that particular ketupat, including the rendang. Rendang also has different meaning. Rendang also have different variations lah. So technically, like any other religions, like any other race, the old folks, they always like to come up with stories, and that's what made Hari Raya always so meaningful for us. Like Chinese New Year for the Chinese, Deepavali for the Indians, and so on and so forth. Technically, Hari Raya for us is because the fact that we see enjoyment in the eyes of the young kids, we see sincerity and love in the eyes of the elderly, because it is always so meaningful for the elderly, our old folks, to always see the young congregate right in front of them. It's more, it's just beyond just congregation. It's more of something of the spirit of celebration. It is the unspoken word of love and the unspoken word of mercy that is shared around and embraced on the morning of Hari Raya or the month of Hari Raya lah. So it has always been enjoyable, and I strongly believe this year it will be much more meaningful and much more enjoyable because the morning of Hari Raya we are still serving the circuit breaker notice.
Yes.
It's going to be different because we still can't go to the mosque and we still can't go to our parents' house. I'm still educating or trying to share with my family on how to have Hari Raya gatherings on Zoom class.
Okay.
Yeah. They are trying, on WhatsApp video calls.
Yep.
They're trying, on the different platforms, Hangouts or whatever it is.
Mm.
So, despite the fact that we can still see eye to eye on a screen like this, but it's always so different, maybe Frank can actually, believe in this, because I think both of us, we met last year for this program.
Yes.
It's different because we managed to enjoy the meal together. I still remember it was the teo, we
Yes.
had teo, we had the porridge. I was sharing with Frank on how to eat the date.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
Frank was
remember that,
and Frank was always beside me, and I gave the call of prayer. It was a wholesome experience.
Yep.
It was a beautiful experience. Even though we have this program right now, it's meaningful, I believe, but it's, for me personally, it feels a little bit sad because we can't still see together and shake the hands of each other and embrace each other.
True. Yeah.
We just make the
Let it
best
have
out of
you-
it lah.
Yes.
Yep.
So maybe Frank, maybe you can share with us a bit more. Maybe when you're writing the books on the various cultures, maybe you can see
Okay.
what are there any similarities that you see between like
Yes.
the kuehs with putu kacang or
Sure.
other kuehs that you see? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really agree with Fiza just now. You mentioned that sweetness, right? The sweet taste actually is a key taste, key flavor for all the festival food. Yeah, because of all the Chinese, Indian, Malay, I think we all think we must eat something sweet. Because this is a joyous occasion. Yeah, the Indian exchanges sweets, the sweet candies, the sweets, It's very, very sweet. Yeah, because they symbolize the prosperity or sweetness, happiness of life or something. Yeah, and pineapple tarts you mentioned just now. I think nowadays Chinese people they adopted pineapple tarts as a Chinese version or something. But pineapple tarts, if you trace the history back, actually it's a Nyonya Kueh. It's one type of Nyonya Kueh. It's like highly influenced by the Portuguese and Dutch influence and how to make the tarts. But because of pineapple in Hokkien, we call it online, means prosperity comes. Yeah, that's why Chinese people will think, oh, this is a symbolic meaning. We really prefer to eat pineapple. Yeah, I think just now you mentioned that a lot of food have a meaning behind it, right? I think Chinese people will try to link some certain meanings with the food as well, because with the Chinese language we have a lot of homophones. So we use yu is a fish, but it's a homophone with abandoned food or something. So you think, oh, it must be fish. Fish is a prosperity, abandon of food or something. I think that's what people try to make sense of the world around them.
Yes.
I mean that's a very common practices. I think back to the stand you showed us now, Fabian. I think I saw one girl is kneeling down. I think it's asking for forgiveness.
Asking for forgiveness.
Forgiveness. I think this is very unique. I think for Hari Raya Puasa, because giving green packets or something, that one is a commonly practiced through all the different research. But giving for asking for forgiveness, I think this is quite unique for the Malay communities.
I think one of the things that our Prophet taught us is this. He said, those amongst us, yani the Muslims, those amongst the Muslims who do not respect the elderly and who do not love the young is not from amongst us. So it's very ingrained in Islamic culture to respect the elderly despite the differences, and to love the young. It's something which is very Islamic. And I believe strongly that this goes beyond just Islam alone. Any religion, any belief system will actually imbibe this very important set of values. Any religion that, or any kind of belief that doesn't actually promote respecting the elderly or loving the young, I'm not really sure what kind of values they are promoting. But for sure, I know no religion actually, or no, no groups, no religious groups or no racial groups actually promote that kind of idea. It's very unique. And it's not just actually, morning of Hari Raya is just very cultural. It's very cultural in the Malay society that they ask for forgiveness on the morning of Hari Raya. But if I were to share with you, in Islam, people actually seek forgiveness not on the morning of Hari Raya, but on the evening of Hari Raya, of Puasa, Ramadan. For the coming of the fasting month, people already seek forgiveness. Because what is celebrated in Islam is not the Hari Raya, which is only one day, but Ramadan, which is 30 days. So if you were to go to the other countries, right, to the Middle Eastern countries, morning of Hari Raya is always very solemn. It's always very down, not really hyped up. After prayers, people just go back home and that's all lah. Unlike the Asians, I like you see Singaporean Malays lah, technically the Singaporean Muslims lah. But we really make full use of the festive period. But if you go to the Middle Eastern countries, it's very celebrative on the first day of Puasa, on the first day of fasting. There's fireworks, there is parade, there's bazaars, and people are giving food and gifts to everyone. And that is really memorable in a sense. When I was studying overseas, it was quite a culture shock for me. Because usually in Singapore, first day of Puasa is like really tired week, people looking for, the first iftar. But in the Middle Eastern countries, people are celebrating like nobody's business. Then at the end of Ramadan, people are crying and people are actually quite sad.
So it's really quite different, culturally different, even different parts of the world, even though it's celebrating the same festival.
But in terms of respecting the elderly, I think Chinese, Indians, all we practice this as well. The filial pieties, I mean, this is all the same actually. The values all the same. And then just now you mentioned that the family togetherness or something. I think this is a really value of families during the festival occasions. Reinforce this idea. I mean, this is based on what I observe when I visit my Malay friends during the Hari Raya Puasa period as well. So you can see the family really spend time together with each other, and you can see the happy face on everybody's face. I mean, happy smiling. Don't forget, the baju. I think it's a very spectacular for Malay communities. Everybody is in the same colors. Yeah, when they are visiting their friends. Yeah. I mean, all the Chinese and Indian, they put on new clothes, but I think for Malay families, they choose the same color tone to make it a different style. Yeah.
It's always a headache, I tell you, friend. Okay, with regards to putting on clothes, right? In the Islamic culture, it is a tradition of the Prophet to put on new, fresh clothing to celebrate a victorious month after 1 month of fasting. But when it transcends down to the culture, everything must be the same color. Everything must be the same look. It's always funny if you go to someone's house. Apparently, that design of clothing that you have, the design of clothing that or the color that you have actually is the same as the curtains. That one, I tell you, will be the most boring and troublesome Hari Raya ever. Yeah, we always find the same tone because it's called this thing called Boria, meaning it's like everyone wants to be together. It's like the spirit of brotherhood, the spirit of togetherness. But for me, actually, I don't really quite like it because it looks like a uniform. It reminds me of secondary school once again, you know. But to some people, I do love it. I do respect it. You know, when they walk, the whole bus is the same color. You know, it's the same tone. Everyone is blue, but that is unique because everyone actually painstakingly look into, you know, the laborious task of looking for the same color clothing together.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think likewise. I think I know, like for my Indian friends, they will buy the cloth sari together with their husband. Their husbands don't wear sari, but they find the same color. Likewise for myself and my wife, you know, we'll get the same color of, you know, the cloth, and then we send to auntie, you know, for auntie to sew, you know, our baju kurung. It's always something. The preparation for Hari Raya is actually 2 months even before the celebration itself.
Whoa.
Yes,
because if you are late, the tailor will not take your order.
True. Yeah.
I think we've had a very good discussion, you know, of how celebrating Hari Raya is. For FISA, and also how other cultures maybe for what Frank has shared with for Chinese or even for the Indian cultures as well. All right. So I think we have come to the end for today's program. Yeah. So that's all the time we have. So I would like to thank FISA and Frank. So thank you very much for taking time to be part of this program, and also all our viewers. You know, a big thank you for watching this video, and we hope you learned something about Ramadan, you know, Hari Raya Puasa, and the similarities, you know, that you can be seeing with the other religions and cultures in Singapore. So do follow us on our National Museum of Singapore Facebook page or on Instagram if you would like to be kept up to date about all of our upcoming programs. So thank you very much. And we will see you again in our next program.
And with that, we'd like to wish every single one of you Selamat
Hari
Raya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.